What's up, guys? Welcome to the Quarantine. I'm your host, Wolf, and today I'm going to be taking a look at a game called Salvation Road by Van Ryder Games. Now, the game plays between 1 to 4 players. It says it plays within about 60 minutes, which I would say is about accurate, and it says for about 15 plus, which I guess given the theme, maybe a little lower, who knows. But the Salvation Road is a post-apocalyptic, similar setting to like Mad Max, actually, post-apocalyptic survival game. You and your little group of survivors have heard of, you guys are scrounging around, of course, in the wasteland. You guys have heard rumors of a place called Salvation, and you need to get there to, apparently there's plenty of food and water, and the war barely affected it, and yada yada yada. And as most, post-apocalyptic settings always have, is that one heavenly place that was unaffected by whatever crap hit the rest of the world. So you've heard of that. You don't know if it's true, blah blah blah, but you're trying to get up enough resources so you can get up and go. And that is basically Salvation Road. Now, as usual, I have to state that this is a review, it is not a tutorial, so I may miss a few rules or may gloss over some, but should still just be able to give you a basic idea of whether or not the game is for you. Now, mine is the Kickstarter copy. As far as I know, everything in here should be what you will get if you buy it at normal MSRP. But mine is Kickstarter copy, so be warned, there might be a thing or two that may be different. Again, I don't think there are. I think there's like 2 locations that were unique to the Kickstarter and a handful of some Apocalypse cards and stuff like that. But anyways, let's go straight over to the overview, shall we?
Alright, this is basically Salvation Road set up and ready to go. Now, I do have enough characters out just for 1 player, but everything else I have set up for as a 2-player game. If you're playing solo, you're still going to use characters for 2 players, so you're basically going to have 4 player boards on the field. Now, each player is going to get 1 hero and 1 survivor. So our survivor is Ivana Lopez, and she's super annoying. And when she moves to a location, that she delays every character at that location. Super bad. Then you have Emily Mintz. Emily may perform 3 actions during each action phase. That's pretty good. Generally speaking, heroes are awesome. Survivors are terrible, and they usually are a big problem, but they're an extra pair of hands, which will make sense shortly. Now, there's one way to win, and of course numerous ways to lose, such as most survival game or most cooperative games. Now, you win if you make it to Salvation, which I'll get to now, actually. The way you lose is, throughout the course of the game, you will be pulling these cards out here, and depending on the number of players, so in our case we are setting up for 2, we're going to need a total of 3 of these cards out. We're going to have to fill all 3 of the requirements and then deal with 1 card and have to fulfill 1 of the 2 requirements again. And that's it. So whereas if we're playing with 4 players, we would have to do 5 of these cards, and each card we would have to do 1. Now, these are the special cards that are for Kickstarter backers, but it's still the same general concept. So, say like this. But anyways, you can tell that by the blood splatter that's on those versus some of the ones that don't have blood splatter. But either way, but that's one of the ways how you win is if you get to Salvation, you deal with all 3 of those cards, and then you pay the toll. Then you win. Now, if you're on your way there and say we were able to get this one, no problem. We were able to get this one, no problem. But then we got to this one. We didn't quite have all 3 of those medical packs. Or, more commonly, we didn't have all the damn fuel. We've lost immediately because our trip got cut short. But, anyways, we'll just put that there. And then, because you always start with 1 of those out. You're going to remove so many of these Apocalypse cards based on the number of players you're using or playing with, and you'll put them in the box because there's only ever going to be a finite number of these cards, or a specific number of those cards, and you're not going to see all of them every game. And then you're going to pretty much deal out the rest of the board pretty much how I have it set up. The players start with 1 food. Depending on the number of players, you'll use a certain number of bikers and buggy marauders, and you'll just kind of put those there. And then the game's set up. Actually, rewind. You have, with these locations, you're going to find one scan location, which I'll touch on, and one location for each player. So again, that's why I have 3. One scan, and then for 2 players, that's a total of 3. So now the game is ready to go. The ways you lose is, as I mentioned, if you fail on the trip. If a player loses both characters, we all also lose. And if we ever have to draw the last card in the Apocalypse deck and can't, then we lose again. Other than that, we are ready to play. Now, once you figure out who the start player is, you are going to choose which one of your 2 characters you want to activate. So, because Ivana activates when she moves into somebody else's spot, what we're going to do is Ivana is going to move. You're going to find her standing, and you're going to move to one of these 3. Now, on your turn, you have 2 actions, unless, of course, you're Emily. You have 2 actions. You can move, you can pick items up, you can try to salvage, which I'll get to. There's a lot of things you can do. So, Ivana is going to go here. Now, she moved there. Now, if it has this symbol on it, that is a scan location. Remember, you're only ever going to have one of those in the game. So, we have the observatory. You have the threat meter, which I'll get to. You have the observatory, and then you can, as an action, you can delay another character here to scout, or delay and wound another character here to explore. So, that's neat. And what those mean is, to explore a location, you're going to take this, you'll pull the bottom card out, and put it out here. Remember, we need 3 of them. If you do embark on your journey, and you don't have what the number of cards you have here, you're just going to have to deal with them randomly, which really sucks. So I also need to point out, on the back of the card, it gives you an idea what's on the opposite side. So we know this card we're going to need medicine, and we're going to need fuel. Every one of them needs fuel. But we know that's what we're going to need. We don't know we need 2 fuel, or 3 fuel, and 2 medkits. So that's why you draw from the bottom, so you don't know what it's actually going to be. So like here, we're going to be taking wounds, because this is, again, one of the even harder cards that I have shuffled in here. But, and then exploring that's scouting. Exploring is you're going to take this one of these cards up here, and you'll put it face up. So now we know exactly how much we need for that leg of the trip. But we'll go ahead and put that here. When you flip over a new location, you're going to take one of these cards, and you will reveal it. So the observatory has 2 fuel and a food. So take that, kind of toss it off to the side. We have 2 fuel and a food. You'll toss them there on the location. You also take one of these threat markers, and you'll put it over the 0 to let you know that there is no additional threats on there. Let me zoom in so you can get a closer view of that. So, it looks like that. And the aesthetic appeal for the game is really nice. It's got a very Mad Max kind of vibe to it. But, so was her first action, was to move up there. She can't use the observatory's action because it says delay another character. So, instead, she's going to take one of the fuel canisters, and she'll put it on her character card. So you have, each character has these circles, and this is basically their pockets and their life. So, Ivana is going to put this here. And then if she takes wounds, she's going to put them here. If you ever have to take a wound in a location that has an item, you're going to drop the item wherever you're at. So, she puts that there as her second action. Her turn's over, goes to the next player. Then next player, next player, next player, next player, so on and so forth, till it comes back around to you. And then now you activate your other character. So now Emily Mintz is going to move up here as her first action. Her second action, she's going to take this token. It shows overrun on one side and the little X on here. We're going to use the observatory's action. We're going to delay Ivana, and we will make Ivana take a wound. These wounds are double-sided. They have pretty bad things that happen on the other side, or sometimes you get lucky and it just says just to discard it, and that's cool. But anytime you take a wound, you're going to take it face down unless something specifically states otherwise. But now we're going to explore this card, and we now know, of course, 3 and 2. Now Emily gets 3 actions, so her other action is, just so I can show what it does, we are going to move this threat meter up by 1 and draw another card, and that's called, I think, scavenging? No, it's, where is it? Search. That's what it's called. So you're going to take one of these and add it. So, 2 fuel, 1 meds. So you're going to take 2 fuel, 1 meds. You put it there, so there's more resources there. You're going to go all around again. Then you're going to go to, after everybody's taken, all survivors have all taken their actions, you're going to move to what's called the threat phase. So now, during the threat phase, you're going to roll 1 die for every survivor at a location, plus 1 die that it shows here. So, for example, if this was all the way over here to the 3+, we would be rolling 2 white die for the heroes, and this. Now, you always try to reach for the white dice first. If you are you rolling all the white dice, then you use the black dice. The black dice are even worse than the white dice. So in this situation, we have 2 dice that we got to roll. You're going to roll, and we got nothing. But if we had gotten a wound, then the characters at that location have to decide who's going to get that wound. It's just threats that we had to deal with. Maybe a firefight, maybe somebody sliced their leg open and it's got to be bandaged. Who knows? There's lots of things. But that's how that works. And so in our situation, we rolled nothing, so nobody takes anything. We're fine. Then you move to the apocalypse phase. You're going to take this dirty deck here, and you're going to flip over a card. Now, the first thing you're going to look at here is you're going to look at the name up here. If this name matches the card that you drew last round, you're going to take it and just discard it. You're not going to deal with it. Which sucks because you only have so many of these cards to go through, and if you can't draw one, the game's over. So that sucks because it speeds the game up. And then, so we have famine, so first turn we don't have to worry about it. And we have 2 players, so we're going to put 1 raider out. That's the little symbol for raider. So you're going to take, you always start with the bikes first, and you put them up here so you can tell which ones are out. Now this is very important because because you always do bikers first, so you put all the little bikers out. And then if you ever have to put out another one, you're going to put out a buggy, and you put that here. Now the reason that's important is if you ever have 1 buggy on the field, if a war card comes up, like this, you just immediately lose. So, because a war card came up, we would need, for 2 players, we would put 4 Marauder tokens out. All that's left are 4 Marauder tokens. So we've just immediately lost because the compound has been overrun. So it's very risky when you have all of the raiders out here surrounding the compound. But, so we went ahead and put out our biker, and then now it says each character takes a wound, reveals it, and resolves the effect. So you're basically taking a face-up wound. So you got an injury, so that sucks. And if you look over here on the back of the booklet here, it says having one of these wounds causes no additional effects, which sounds like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. There's only specific things that actually heal face-up wounds. Most things say they heal face-down wounds. So that's why that would suck. So we did that, and then this, Ivana also gets an injury. So Ivana's in bad shape at the moment. So then it says down here, characters may discard a food to let up to 3 characters at their location ignore these effects. So if a character's holding food, they can do that. Then you have a little story blurb here, which just adds kind of a thematic sense to it. And then you're going to take this and you'll discard it, which I'll just put on the bottom for now. And then you're going to do the same thing over again. And that's basically how the game goes. So as the game progresses, these people are going to be getting up, and you're going to be taking different items. Her 3 actions are going to do this, and then it comes back around. Your next round, she comes back over here. You get your first action to transfer for free, and then it takes an action to transfer more, and you transfer them over to the truck, and so on and so forth. So throughout the course of the game, let's just throw some random tokens out here. You're going to have stuff that kind of looks like this by the end of the game. Or you can do the 3x like it recommends, but you don't actually have to. But it makes it a little easier and easier to track and keep track of what's going on. So this was our trip. So we think we might be all right now. So we're going to go ahead and go for it. We have 1 apocalypse card left. We know we're not going to make it last another turn after this. So you know what? We're just going for it. So now you get to resolve them from left to right. So we have to spend 3 medicine. So you take this and 2 fuel. So we were able to do the first leg. This is done. Then we do the second leg. So we need 3 fuel and 2 medicine. Which our problem is, we have one medicine, we lost. Because throughout the course somebody maybe, I don't know, got sepsis and died or something. So we all died, game's over. And the game is basically, as you saw there, is going to progress like that until you guys have to make your final journey. If you make it to the end, to salvation, you got to pay the toll, and like I mentioned earlier, you'll flip one card and you have to fulfill one or the other. And that's it. It's that's pretty much, as far as I can recall, that is basically how you play Salvation Road. There are a couple things I didn't point out with overrunning. If you ever have to research an area and the threat meter goes all the way to the skull, you're going to take an overrun token and you will toss it on this, and it never goes away. Because all those tokens come back at the end of the round, after the apocalypse phase. So anyways, that is Salvation Road. Let's just dive straight into my final thoughts.
Alright, Salvation Road. Honestly, we really, really enjoy Salvation Road. Now, you may have heard me mention Salvation Road in the game of Centauri Saga that I reviewed. It's because Salvation Road is insanely difficult. For example, I don't think we've beat it. Yeah, I don't think we have. Put that in relation, we've beat El Toro once, and we've played it like 20 or so times. So, I enjoy a good hard game. But the difference between Salvation Road and like Centauri Saga is Salvation Road, you feel like you have a chance up until the very end, because you never have enough time to do what you want to do. Those raiders, generally, they aren't that much of a problem. They're just an annoyance that you do have to keep an eye on. And you'll have 4 or 5 raiders out there, and you'll go, you know what? You don't have to pick something up. It would be better if you go back to the base and use some bullets to shoot some people. And kill some bikers. And so you'll do that, and they're just something that's just going to eat up more precious resources. And then the fact that every time you search a zone, the little threat meter goes up, so and you only have so many locations you can search, so you're constantly bouncing back and forth between all of them. And then you have somebody like Ivana just being a piece of crap, and it's just delaying everybody. And she's probably one of the worst ones. But there's some pretty bad survivors in there. Like, there's one that it takes 2 of her both movement points just to move once. She sucks. There's a bunch of them. But overall, the game is fantastic. It feels very thematic. You feel like you might win, but you're probably going to lose pretty much the whole game. And it's very enjoyable. Pretty simple to learn. I really like the way all the cards look thematic. You know, the cards for the trip to Salvation, they look like road signs. The locations look like Polaroid snapshots. It all feels and fits really well together. The overall component quality it's not bad, but it's not great either. So I mean, there's nothing really to say there. I mean, we've played it a few times. The cards seem to be taking a little bit of a beating, but nothing too bad. Like, you can't tell any of them apart. But that's really it with Salvation Road. I mean, there's not much else to say. It's, other than that, it's, if you do not like a very, very hard sort of cooperative game, you're probably not going to like this game. But if you're into that and you like that you're going to lose 9 times out of 10, but that one victory feels so nice and it feels awesome when you're like, oh my god, we won! We made it! Then definitely pick up Salvation Road. If you like the Mad Max kind of post-apocalyptic style, fantastic little game. Anyways, that is Salvation Road. If you like the show, you can support me on Patreon. Give me a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time in the quarantine.